In 1953, the United States, together with Britain, participated in a coup in Iran.
The British were the architects of the coup in a bid to prevent the first ever democratically elected Prime Minister of Iran, Mohammad Mossadegh, from renationalizing Iran's massive oil reserves, which at the time were the exclusive preserve of BP. Indeed, they were the origin of the company's wealth. America always admitted its involvement in the coup. Britain never has. Yet the architect of it was MI6 officer Norman Derbyshire. Only a transcript of an interview with him remains. Ray Fiennes is drafted in to reenact the MI6 officer.
Were you involved in Afshar II's assassination?
Yes, but it was never the intention that Afshar II should be killed. Something went wrong.
Mossadegh was eventually put on trial, but refused to accept his prosecutor's right to try him. Many blame the coup for eventually bringing about Iran's Islamic Revolution 26 years later in 1979. The director of the film, Coup 53, Taghi Amirani, wants Britain to come clean over its role in a bid in part to help bring closure to the swirling tensions that surround Iran to this day.
The coup for Iranians is a national scar, emotionally and mentally, that hasn't healed. And every time things flare up between Iran, between the West, Britain and America, that scab gets picked again. And things flare up all the time. But to understand the aftermath, to understand everything that's happening to the present day, even right now with UN resolutions and embargoes and the threat of war, is rooted in 53. We need to understand that to understand everything else.
The Americans are perfectly proud of their role in that coup, but the British have never spoken about it, never admitted they were there, and yet they were the drivers.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the sole reason I made this film. Get my adopted home, Britain, I've lived here for a long time, I love it, to admit their role. Admit not just their involvement, the fact that they were the masterminds of this, they ran it. We have it now in black and white from the MI6 agent, Norman Derbyshire, who says, I ran the coup, it was my responsibility. I think to come clean about this would be good for everyone.
So the nub of your film is, frankly, that the British did not want to lose British petroleum, did not want to lose that oil to the Iranian.
Yes, absolutely. There were several reasons. One is you don't want to lose this huge lucrative asset. You know, you want the Iranian oil. That's one thing. The other thing is you don't want to set an example. Mossadegh does this. Nasser would want to nationalize the Suez Canal, which he did exactly. Mossadegh was a huge hero for Nasser. The other thing that they did some crazy things. We think what's happening now is the first time that things are happening. Harry Truman said there is nothing new in the world except the history you do not know. Sanctioning Iranian oil. 53. The British put on an oil embargo on Iran. They put adverts in international papers saying if you buy Iranian oil, you're buying stolen goods. They put fake news in the papers. You think fake news is now? CIA and MI6 invented fake news. An MI6 CIA agent in Langley would write propaganda against Mossadegh. He's a homosexual, he's a Jew, he's a communist, he's a fanatic, he's crazy, he's unhinged. That paper would appear in Iranian newspapers the next day.
I've actually been to Mossadegh's house, and he's buried underneath. He's actually buried in the living room.
He is buried under the floor tiles in the dining room. Why? Because the Shah wouldn't allow a public burial for him, because he was worried about Mossadegh's grave becoming a shrine.
They will never apologize. You just want them to admit.
Admitting would be a great step. Get it off your chest, unburden yourself, give some respect to the Iranians, have some respect for their dignity. You've scarred this nation for 67 years. It's poisoned and completely destroyed your relationship.
Would it improve current relations?
I think coming clean about something clears the air. I think it will be a cathartic confession for the Brits. It will be good for the Iranians to hear it, Iranian people to hear it, and it will pave the way for better understanding. And it's absurd because, you know, everyone knows the Brits were doing this. It's the most absurd open secret.
And the Americans have admitted it.
They always use the Cold War as the excuse. We were saving Iran from communism. BS. This was about Iran's oil. The Americans said, we'll come and help you if you have some of that oil, and they did.
Taghi Amirani, thank you very much for talking to us.